I work as a night security guard at a distribution center on the outskirts of Indianapolis. The warehouse is massive, quiet, and poorly lit. During the day, hundreds of employees pass through, trucks come and go, forklifts zip around constantly. But after midnight, it's just me and the cameras. My routine is simple. Watch the monitors, do 2 rounds, one at 2 a.m. and another at 4 a.m., and log any unusual activity. But that night, something broke the pattern. It was around 1:45 a.m. I was in the surveillance room, sipping coffee and checking the feeds. Everything looked normal except for camera 7, the one covering Sector 3, where the pallets of chemical products are stored. The image was shaking slightly, like there was some kind of interference. At first, I thought it was a loose connection. I got up, tapped the screen a couple of times, and waited for it to clear up. But it didn't. In fact, the camera slowly started to go dark, until the image was almost completely black. I could barely make out the outlines of the shelves. And then, for just a second, something moved across the lens. Too fast to identify. I thought maybe it was a bug or a bird that had somehow gotten in through a skylight. But the warehouse is sealed, completely locked down at night, and there are no windows in that area. I decided to wait a little before heading over. I kept watching the other cameras. Everything seemed fine. But then, at exactly 1:58 a.m., the internal motion alarm was triggered. In Sector 3, the same area from camera 7. That had never happened on my shift. I grabbed my flashlight, radioed the remote supervisor, and headed there. The hallway was silent. That heavy kind of silence that sits on your shoulders. My footsteps echoed on the concrete floor, and the beam of my flashlight shook with the slight tremor in my hand. When I got to Sector 3, everything looked untouched. No signs of forced entry. No boxes tipped over. No animals. But something felt off. The air was thick. There was a faint metallic smell, like old blood. And the feeling of being watched was so strong it made me break into a cold sweat. That's when I heard it. Quick snap. Like something shifting between the shelves. I turned the flashlight in that direction, but saw nothing. I started walking slowly through the narrow aisles between the tall racks. And then, as I turned a corner, I saw something on the floor. It was a VHS tape. That's right. An old, dusty tape with a handwritten label. Sector 3 to 1998. Here's the thing. This distribution center has only existed since 2006. I went back to the surveillance room with the tape in my hands. It was dry, intact, but it had a strange energy to it. I asked the remote supervisor over the radio if he knew anything about old recordings. He said no. They'd never used tape cameras there. The entire system had always been digital. Even so, I decided to search the equipment storage for an old player. I found one tucked in a rusty cabinet, hooked everything up, and inserted the tape. The image was grainy, but visible. The footage showed the same Sector 3, but arranged differently. Different shelves, peeling paint on the walls, leaks from the ceiling. Like an older version of the place. A man appears in the footage. He's wearing a security uniform similar to mine. Walking slowly with a flashlight, exactly like I had minutes earlier. He hears something, stops, turns his head. The camera shakes, and then something appears behind him. I can't describe what it was. The recording became distorted right at that moment. A tall, stretched figure with impossibly thin arms and unnatural movements. The guard tries to run, but gets pulled into one of the shelves. The tape cuts. Black screen. I rewound it and watched frame by frame, trying to understand. And then I noticed something that froze me completely. The name tag on the guard's uniform. It had my name. Same badge. Same face. Same haircut. That tape showed me being attacked by something that doesn't make sense. Something that, as far as I know, never happened. Or hasn't happened yet. Since that night, I avoid looking directly at camera 7. But sometimes, while I'm watching the monitors, I see the image darken again, and a silhouette appears in the background. Closer each time. More defined. The strangest part? The following week, HR called me in. A staff member had found an old VHS tape during a safety inspection. They said they checked it and it was just a training video. When I asked to see it, they told me it had already been archived. But no one could tell me where. Ever since, I've had this feeling like I'm stuck in something that's already been recorded. Something that already happened. Or is just waiting for the right moment to repeat. And camera 7 stopped working completely last night. But the motion alarm still goes off. Every night at 1:58 a.m.